Hello and welcome to Borrow My Brain. Now, before we move on to today's caller, I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on Jack's situation. Jack is still doing his research. He's definitely looking at those suburbs in Melbourne and getting a little bit more knowledge and getting the alerts through so he knows what's coming onto the market, but he's hanging out for that inheritance so he can push the button and purchase something. So we look forward to hearing about Jack's purchase in the future. Now today I get to talk to Adam. Now this is something I have never done before. Adam has purchased a block of land and he is going to build a property. So it is a new build, but he's torn between the luxe version or the pretty good version of the two building designs that he has been looking at. So I apply my demographic mindset and investor grade mindset to look at maybe what one would actually suit the typical market when it comes time to rent or sell the property. So this is something I haven't done before. It is new. It was a bit of a stretch of my brain, I have to admit, but I'm pretty sure that you'll enjoy it. So now let's have a chat to Adam. Okay, today I have Adam with me, and Adam, you sent me, well, let's just say a bit of an essay, and you asked to borrow my brain. I'm going to throw it over to you. Tell me, where are you at the moment and how can I help?
So I'm 33. I managed to save up a 20% deposit because I didn't want to pay any of the LMI. I'm based in the Southern Highlands on a farm where I work as well with in the family business. I'm a first home buyer. I've read a heap of your resources and I'm at the stage now where I've just recently purchased a block in the Southern Highlands as well. And I'm looking to build in the next 3 months.
Great.
Ideally.
Tell me, first home buyer, are we talking about this property is the forever home, or is it a stepping stone, or is it a buy, keep for a while and then sell or upgrade or turn in?
Yeah.
Tell me
I mean, even that is not set in stone yet. I know, I mean, it has to be your principal place of residence. But as you've said, as a number of other property experts have said, you need to look at this principal place of residence as part of your overall investment strategy.
Yeah.
So the idea, I mean, I was fortunate enough that my brother's a buyer's agent. So I was able to get the block of land for $15,000 cheaper than what's advertised. Great. By going through the developer directly. My parents have bought next door. He's bought 2 places down.
Well, so you guys must get on really well, right?
No, for them it's investments. Okay. So, I mean, this is his 20th investment. So he's very aggressive in that sense, and he's 3 years younger. But yeah, so that's the situation. So then he's built with a particular builder that I won't name in the past, and they've built well. And for the same reason, going in with that collective buying power, that bargaining chip, the 3 of us were going to build with the same builder, the same design, just changing the facade, a little bit of the layout and the features, so to speak. So the idea was manufacturing that equity on the way in, keeping, not over-capitalizing on the build based on median house prices in the area. And then in 1 to 2 years, looking at refinancing it and going again, or, speaking to someone such as yourself that, has a different strategy altogether. That's basically where I'm at.
Perfect. Okay, so you're going to stretch me today when you're using my brain, because assessing new builds is not something that I do. So hey, we get to learn to do it together. So first and foremost, I just want to give everyone a bit of an idea of where we are. So I'm just on the digital dot map here, and I'm just going to zoom in. So what I'm doing is I'm looking here, we're down at Moss Vales, that's right?
Yeah, that's it.
So south of Sydney, where we're coming in from the coast, Shell Harbour, Wollongong's about here. So let's just check out Moss Vales. So we're going to have a look over here at the 10-year capital growth. We're between 3 to 3.9%. We've got a couple of areas that have got higher growth, the 5%ers and the 7%ers, Erema, etc., which higher price point. Now, according to SQM Research's later data, we're talking around a median price around $654.
Yeah.
So this gives us a bit of an idea. So just tell me, what was the land value and the expected price of the build that you're looking at?
So 260,000 for the block of land. It was advertised for 275 to 300. The build itself, so I've narrowed it down to 2 builders, and it'll be between 290,000 and 315,000.
Okay. So 275, did you say?
For the 260 for the land.
260, got it, because you got the discount as well.
And then for that, for the house, it'll be between 290 and 315.
Okay, great. So the thing that you're trying to do, so when we talk around the Trident strategy, buy below the market, add value, and my techniques through renovation or create equity, and then being a good growth area. So if we try to apply this to new builds in new developments, it's often difficult. But what you've already indicated is you've bought below the market by being able to get that $15,000 off, which is essentially, a saving in your pocket for the land. You've used the bargaining chip of having the 3 properties being purchased at once, or built at once. So you've got another discount there. And when you talked about manufacturing equity and potentially refinancing in a couple of years, that's essentially like the renovation strategy in the sense of you're making money out of thin air. So the concept here around a house and land build is that it would cost you more to buy it complete than going through all the pain yourself in actually doing it yourself. But what often happens with first home buyers, and I thank you, Mum. I saw your note to say thanks, Mum, for referring you to
your hero in this household
to the First Home Buyers Show. But what often happens with the people who start buying the house and land is that all of a sudden it's the wish list. So it's the, it'd be nice to have a media room, and how about and so we keep adding things on. And where you've kind of created that equity position of saying, well, the median house price is $645 and I'm buying for $585, the gap in between is the money that I've made by doing this. They then let scope creep come into the property. So you're doing all the right things. From a growth point of view, I think it's really interesting to look at this Moss Vale and the Southern Highlands area, because, from a long-term point of view, we're thinking that you're buying, you're young, so you're buying for the long term in the sense that this could be an investment, or it could just be a stepping stone for you to refinance or sell in a few years and take that equity. But if we think long term, we know that, and you've lived in the area, that Berrima, the Southern Highlands, that's kind of like the weekend escape for the people in the city. So we know that there has been pricing pressure on the long term in that area. And now that if we apply the short term kind of circumstances, we're in the middle of the COVID crisis, people are talking about, well, I've done remote working for so long, why can't I continue this? Maybe I can live in Kiama and, I could commute once every 2 weeks to work. So I think these areas are going to see a little bit of some pricing pressure where we've got people starting to think that. But the reality is they're going to have to sell first, usually, to then move to these places. So we're talking about a time frame of at least a year where we might see that bump. So it's nice to consider there could be a bump in the area and the growth, but long term, it has had some good growth. But, you know, when I'm looking at 3.9% as a growth potential, it's not something that is going to be the only thing in your portfolio that's going to, you know, make you rich and be able to retire. We'd be looking at trying to get you something in the future for that next purchase of like maybe the 5 or 6% growth that could actually get you a total portfolio. So as a stepping stone, with all of the putting the Trident strategy on top of a house and land package, we can actually almost make this fit. So I'm feeling a bit comfortable about this. Now, one of your questions was also around you didn't want to overcapitalize and you were going to try to choose between two designs. So I've brought up the two designs that we can have a look at. But I thought also what I might do is we just get a little bit of, and I'm just going to share this screen again, a little bit of a connection also to what is happening in the area itself. So I'm just going to pull up the Suburbs Selector software. Now, this is a little trick for those of you who have access to the location masterclass. What I've done is, because of the data that has come out, or the data that's available for the Suburbs Selector software, from SQM research, if there's not enough statistical data, I get rid of the areas. So when I look at all the cities, I've got the major capital cities and I've got some of the regional significant ones. So Wollongong is close by, and let's just go, well, we know 650 is around the median. We're happy to go below that, and we're happy to go a little above that. And to get to Moss Vale, I'm going to say I'm happy to look at any suburb within 200 kilometres of Wollongong, which kind of just gets me, you know, from Wollongong over here to the Moss Vale. So it's kind of like a workaround. Now, if I come down here, because I just want to get a feeling for the investability of what we're looking at. So we're going to look at Moss Vale here. I'm assuming that there's going to be a lot of suburbs or towns and areas that are a lot more expensive in the area. So where we got Barrel, you know, all of these areas, nice areas. So what I'm looking at here is the percentage of renters. So one of the ways that I try to minimize the cost of the risk potential is making sure we have 28 to 30% renters, which is typically the percentage of renters across all of Australia. So we're almost there, 27.6. So this is okay. So there's some renters in the area as well. The number of properties sold, this gives me some confidence. Some rental yield, 3.58%. So this is all good. But what I'm really trying to get here is just get to find out what that typical property looks like, so that we can be confident that, you know, what most people want. So this indicates 3-bedroom is the most typical, and the vacancy rate is below 3%. So that means that when you put the property up for rent and it's a typical property, it will sell. Now, what would concern me here is, I think the properties that you're looking at, correct me if I'm wrong, they're 4-bedroom, is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So what I would do in this instance is I'd go and clarify all the information. So let's just pull up the census data and let's look at Moss Vale, because often what can happen is that you are looking at the information and you're actually getting, you know, the typical property is 3-bedroom, but it might be by a couple of percent, 4-bedroom is still really, you know, a property that people are after. Now, remember, this is 2016 data too, so it could have changed over a period of time. So I'm just going to look at the screen over here. So I just want to get a feel for what is the typical property that people are after. So we've got mum, dad without kids is well, they're not mums and dads if they don't have kids, so couple without kids.
I get you. I know what you're saying.
Are the most prominent here. And we have, everyone's employed, it's looking good, owner-occupied. All right, so here we have separate houses by far, 85% is definitely the main type of property. But see here, this is what's interesting. So there's 1,300 3-bedrooms and 1,200 4-bedrooms. Now, this is back in 2016, and as you said, you're in a new development. I assume that most of them are 4 bedrooms. So this might just change. So this does not now concern me as much as it would if I just took the data and went, wait a second, it's a typical property, 3 bedroom. He doesn't have a 3 bedroom. We're in trouble. Yeah.
Okay.
So this just lets me kind of validate the information back at the source. Census is the source. Okay. So we're in Mossvale here. We know that the vacancy is okay. The percentage of renters is okay. The 4 bedroom property is okay. A house is what people want. So what I would do now is I'm just going to jump over here to RP data, and I just want to have a feel for, well, what does that Mossvale kind of property look like and what the typical property is. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to SQM Research, and I'm just going to pull up their free property data. Let me do this from scratch so you can see it. So I'm going to go to SQM Research. I'm going to look at their sold records. How big is the block that you've got, Adam?
It's the smallest one in the street. It's 540 square meters.
540, okay. Mm-hmm. So let's see, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put Mossvale in, because I just want to get a feel for what the typical size is that in sale data that's over the last year, so I can get a feel for, where this property would kind of sit.
Mm-hmm.
So 2577. Okay, so let's have a look down here. So we've got a few selling around. So this is where are you?
540.
40. So when we're looking at the properties that have sold, most of them have sold around that 6 to 7, 800. So we're already at 540. We're kind of below the at the bottom end of where the market is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what the typical kind of sales have been in the last 12 months. All right. So what I would then like to do is I just would go through here and I'd say, okay, so let's have a look at the properties that are selling. So you're buying a 4 bedroom property. We would have a minimum size land. I would go from 5 to 800 because I want to see what has been selling, and to answer your question, am I overcapitalizing, and what type of property should I be looking at? Because this is going to give me the information that's going to allow me to look at it and say, yeah, well, do we want Caesar stone, or are we going to go with something else? So let's just have a look at this. Over the last 6 months, we've got, so this is all the properties that are 4 bedroom properties on this size blocks in the area.
Mm-hmm.
And if we look at the sales history over the last 6 months, let's just get a feel for what properties look like. Now, obviously Mossvale is, has an old area and a new area. So we'd be kind of trying to look at, what do the newer type of properties look like. Now, are any of these that you would say, this is kind of like, or in the area or streets, etc., that are in the new development?
What you could do, you could even put in Francis Street. The estate's called Darrowby.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that there's exactly the same house design. The street behind mine is selling for 850,000.
Right.
And that's a 4 bedroom, and that's basically the basis of what I'm asking, because it is a smaller block.
Yeah.
Do I make it more luxe? Do I make it more appealing, like that timeless, Southern Highlands look, with the landscaping and all the rest of it? Or am I just going to do something a little bit more basic?
So this is kind of, we're looking at these areas here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And if we were looking, so this has been all new development that's gone on in the area. Have these ones actually built as yet? The Josephs and the Darrowbys and Endeavours?
Where are we? Francis Street. Just trying to get perspective.
I can zoom out a little bit further.
I'm just trying to see my block number. Yeah, because it's northerly facing. There's beautiful undulating hills and mountains and everything in the distance. It's right on top of a hill,
Okay.
overlooking farming land and what have you. So I think where your little toggle is right now, I think it's looking back down that way.
Okay. And what about these areas over here that look like they've had a bit more of land turned over them? Have they been developed as yet? Joseph, Darrowby and Endeavour. Actually, how about what we'll do is we'll go back here and we'll have a look at the sales history, and we'll get rid of Francis Street. So this is a Darrowby, so that's in that new development.
Yeah. Okay.
And Endeavour as well. Okay, so and Joseph. So this is, so we're seeing that the 700s,
yes.
730, 760 is that Joseph and Endeavour and Darrowby. So let's just pull this up. So this is a 700 square metre and these are 700. So this is kind of the 700 square metre block and the 4-bedroom, 2-bath. So nice floors.
Yes, I noticed that.
We've got some nice rain fade panel. What do you call them?
In the media room.
Yeah.
The window. Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Oh gosh, I've just
kind of an awkward height though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really weird. And it's almost like it's council approval, so you can't overlook over the neighbours. Stuff. Yeah. Oh gosh, for not Venetians. Okay, mental blank. It will come to me.
Yeah.
I've just ordered some for one of my investment properties, which is
okay.
Plantation Shutters.
There you go.
Okay, all right. So these are, wow, they've really gone to work with the Plantation Shutters. Usually just the front of the house. Okay, so they've got those vertical blinds. We've got a bit of landscaping. We've got the home theatre. So we have 4 bedrooms and a home theatre here and a home office. So this is quite a significant build. So this would be a bigger house build than what you were looking at on a bigger block.
Yeah.
And if we go down here to another one of the streets, which is, so this is another 700. This is a smaller one, 620. So let's just check that out. Just want to make sure that we're in the right area here. So let's just zoom out. So I know, yep. So this is in that Joseph Holland Street here. So you're down here in Francis somewhere. So we're in the right development. Okay. So what does this look like? Pendant lights, bench tops, nice big white kitchen, big flooring, breakfast bar, eating area, living space. Oh, Plantation Shutters, fan. We've got some downlights. We've got air conditioning, more pendants, so dining. Plantation Shutters. No, these ones aren't. These are vertical, horizontal. So standard kind of bathroom, 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 sitting area. Okay, so I wonder if I can get a floor plan here. Doesn't look like it. Oh, yep. Wow. Okay, they're giving me the plans as well. So what do we have here is we've got 4 bedrooms, 1, 2, 3, 4, master living area, and they've got an extra media room as well. Okay, so we're getting a feel for what the look and feel of the properties in this area are looking like. And we're getting a feel for, so this is on 620 and you're on 540. So it's another, 100 square meters less. So, we just need to be kind of conscious of that as well.
Yes.
Yeah. And, okay, so, and these aren't in that area. All right, so let's have a look at the 2 styles that you're looking at. This is right, the Salante?
No, it's a sonata.
Oh, let's have a look. Our
Close.
homes. Single story Selector.
So my brother's going that one that you just saw before, Altona. Parents are going the Hampton next door.
Right.
And
All right, our toner.
yeah.
Good. Well, at least they're not all the same. We're getting close. Sonata, right?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, perfect. So double garage. And let's just have a quick little look at this one. So
It'd be one large single garage door. I already asked the real estate agent what's the most popular in the area. Yeah.
Okay, and we could pick that up, the need for that, off the census data, because what it will tell us is, so we can get here about everyone drives, for instance. People drive. There's a passenger and work full time. Oh, interesting amount. What else have we got here? Okay, this is the, and sometimes we can get some information regarding how many cars. Here it is here. Most people have, well, really close, 1 to 2 cars. See that?
Yeah.
All right, so we're looking at one of these. Which one would we be looking at?
It's a 4-bedroom with media room.
4-bedroom living with a great room and 1, 2.
It's 23.12 squares as well. They're all Sonata 10s. It's a Sonata 13. Yeah, I think it's one of those ones.
23.08, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
A media room. Okay, garage, bedroom, family, living, alfresco, kitchen, media. Okay, so we do have that media component here. Interestingly enough, the media room is bigger than all the bedrooms, right? 4.3 by 3.5, 3.4 by 3.8.
Yeah.
So interesting. Okay, so what else do we have that's here? So this is the property, the fixtures and finishings of it. So images of what it would look like. So we've got the pendant lights, we've got the nice floors, we've got the air, like this is almost like everything that we're looking at the other property.
Yes.
Okay. Now, is out of the 2 builds that you're considering, is this the more expensive or the less expensive one?
The less expensive one.
Okay. This is looking very typical of what we just looked at, right? Isn't it?
Yes.
So we've got the air conditioning, we've got the Plantation Shutters, we've got the nice big tiles, feature walls. Okay, so this might be a smaller kitchen. You're probably looking at 600 mil ovens, etc., rather than what looked like 90 in the other one, because this is quite a bit smaller.
Yeah, it costs $2,000 to upgrade to the 90 mil.
Yep. I think this kitchen, the actual space of it looks too small to put that in. Like it'd make it look,
yes,
to dominate. Yeah. Okay. So this is looking to me like what we saw when we had a look at the new properties that we're selling here, right? So I think this is kind of making me think, oh, okay, so we've got 100 square meters less, but this is kind of the same build. So I'm feeling that this is on par. So let's have a look at the next property. Welcome back. And give me some cash back. Nice. San Marino, is that it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So let's just have a look at this floor plan. Okay, so this is luxe.
Yes, it's and you know I've walked through it as well. It's just got such a good flow.
Yeah.
And the other thing, Jane, is that because there is that site for, I'm doing a split level option. And so the rear of the house is actually going to have 11-foot ceilings overlooking that view that I was telling you about earlier.
What, can this view be built out?
Built out?
Yeah, so if I'm looking at, because I think what you explained to me was that in Francis down here, this is where you're buying.
Yeah.
Francis Street.
Yes, Francis Street. Yeah.
Is there any development plans for over here? Like, are you going to lose that view? Are we creating an 11-foot ceiling that, window of the views that could be built out in the future?
Possibly.
Okay.
Possibly. Yeah.
All right. So let's just throw that. And what's the price difference between these two properties?
It's about 15,000.
15,000. Okay. All right. So this property here, this is like high-end looking. We've got the 2 kids' bedrooms. That's interesting. But this is this kids' activity room and a study nook. So, if I was going to go, future, everyone's going to, want to be able to live at home and work at home and educate at home. This is going to be this would be an interesting thing to consider. It's nice to see linen presses, and extra room. This walk-in robe associated with the bathroom. I've never seen that before. Interesting. Bedroom 2 has no bedroom. The kids have a shared bathroom. There's a toilet associated with the kids' room and just anyone. There's a toilet associated. This has to be the master suite. Yeah. So this here can be closed off, and this is their walk-in robe. Okay, there you go. Ta-da! Explains why we have a walk-in robe in the middle of nowhere. And this is here, it's the laundry that has access outside, I'm assuming, and into the garage.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and this is the split level where you're walking down into the family gourmet kitchen, dining, home theatre, and this alfresco. So let's have a look at some of these images. So this definitely looks luxe. So So we've got the main bedroom had a little balcony off it as well, master suite.
It'll just open onto the side access,
Okay.
which isn't much on the block. It's about a meter. Yeah.
So it's quite small. You'll be having this will take up a dominant amount of the land, right?
Yeah.
And double garage. Big kitchen. Oh, I'm so dilemmaed. Okay.
Yeah, you can see my position now. Yeah.
Okay, for someone who's never considered or even looked at a new build, it's a whole new experience for me.
Yeah.
Okay. And wow, look at that. Now I'm excited. Walk-in robe. All right. And let's have a look at this. So this is still, kitchen's bigger. Is that the fridge is outside the kitchen?
Yeah. That's probably in the larger design.
Right.
The other fridge, the fridge in the design that I've been offered, it's built into the kitchen area.
Okay, much better. Okay, I like this big
openness.
Is this on a small block that'd be similar to the block that you have?
Yeah.
Okay, because it's taking up all the room, but they've landscaped it quite nicely to create different living spots and the screening from the people next door, because obviously they can check you out from the farm. All right, okay, so.
And see that design just there?
Yeah.
that was the facade.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, dilemma time. So traditionally, if I was going to put my investor hat on for this and say, okay, so you've made, first home buyer, you're eligible for the home builder scheme. There's, $25,000 there for you. You're not paying any stamp duty because you're a first home buyer, right?
No, that's right. Yeah.
So there's all these benefits where you actually, it's like buying below the market and you're getting all these extra benefits. So, and you've saved 20%, which is fantastic. So when I look at this overall and think, okay, so it's convenient for you. We're not saying you can buy anywhere in Australia. You're a first home buyer. You live and work within, rural area, and you need to be buying within this area. You've got into you've got a lot of cash that's already in your pocket that you've made from this by the savings. If I then look at Mossvale and say, look, Mossvale's made up of new and old, so it's hard to actually put, $645,000 is the median price, but the reality is we know there's $1 million homes there. We need to actually just bring it back to what's the new developments look like. So if we look at the new developments and we look at the typical size blocks in Mossvale, which once again is the new and the old, we are actually seeing the fact that of some of the properties that have sold or are for sale in this new development, they are bigger than the one that you've got. So first of all, you've got a smaller block. So it's, when people start looking for their next home, so it's almost like if you were going to sell this, what are the risks associated with what you've got? You've got a smaller block. So how do you maximize that? Is it land that people are looking for, or is it the wow factor of the house? When I look at the larger size blocks and the design that they've got the media room that both of these kind of builds have for you. They've got the 4 bedrooms that, 2016 census said 3 to 4 bedrooms is kind of, what people are after. You've got the double kind of garage capacity potential or parking for 2 cars. So where I would think about this is, where can I get the most value? If it's, to be honest, $15,000 difference to me seems like, are you serious? Like, if we were renovating a property and all of a sudden we had to fix a retaining wall, you could drop 10 grand without anyone seeing any value for it. Whereas if we look at this design, we've got the beautiful French doors, you've got the outside living, you've got, the beautiful finishes, etc. The design itself, though, of the more expensive property, I find a little quirky with the children's area, and the master bedroom and its facilities seem to be a little bit separate, like the bathroom and it's kind of like it's got its own little area. So it's like you've got this upstairs area, and then yes, the magnificence of the living spaces and the 11-foot ceilings and all of those is very attractive. But I would then step back and go, okay, so who would be my typical market if I was going to resell this? So we've already learnt that the typical market is a couple without children. And we're looking at a design that has the children nook, and the kids' activities area. So I'd be looking at that saying, well, arguably, if you were going to be buying one of these new home areas, and let's just have a look at the census data, because one of the reasons that we might find that couples without kids is more prevalent is not that it's got such a young age group. It might be because there's such an old age group. So if we have a look at compared to the rest of Australia, we've got, where are we, 20, so between 20 and 24, rest of Australia is like 6.5% of the population, this is 4.5%. 25 to 29, 5% compared to 7. So this is now indicating to me that it's an older population. So we're down here at 55 to 60. So So this is very clearly now saying that, this is kind of where everyone retires to because it's so beautiful. Once you've made your money, you go there and buy the property. So this is how I read the demographics to try to indicate, well, what does that data mean? So, and once again, it's 2016 that we're looking at the information, and 2021 we're going to get the next lot of census information. And would it reflect that there's been a significant change? So with that new development area that you've purchased in, is that one of many, or is that like the first big development area in?
I think it's stage 3 of 5.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it has been happening for a little while, but not for many, many years, like maybe over the last 3 years. Okay. So this has all been happening subsequently to the census data that we're using to try to get a feel for what's happening in the area. Okay, so looking at this then would say to me that if you're going to use this property for something that's going to be, you'll be able to get a comparable sale data to be able to refinance in the future, or you can rent it out in the future and get the majority of the market, and you would be able to rent it faster, reduce your vacancy rates, have the typical type of people who want to rent a property in the area look at this and go, this is me. Then what would be the best property for that? When you're looking, one was 17 squares and one was 23 or something, wasn't it?
They're roughly the same. That if we're comparing apples to apples,
yeah,
the dimensions are roughly the same.
So they're going to take up the same footprint on the land.
Same footprint.
Okay.
Yeah. What have we got here? So the San Marino, 12.95 meters wide and 19.5 long. The Sonata, 10.88 meters wide and 21.5 long.
Okay.
But the rooms themselves are roughly on point.
Okay, so I think from if they're going to take up like the same footprint, it's like so if one was going to be, there's going to be more room for the kids to play out the back, and the other one wasn't, then that would be a consideration. I like the idea that for only 15,000 more, you have the split level, larger living space. It's segmented from the sleeping area of the house. It's got, the stack of doors that you can open out to get that beautiful view. Like, I think that is a wow factor, that if people were going to rent or if they were going to buy, they'd go, come check out this. And for 15 grand for the same footprint, not being an expert in ever looking at a new house design in my life before, I would try to read the demographics and say, that's really attractive. The weird children's nook and parents' room, I find that as the two.
What would you convert the children's nook to?
I don't know.
Sorry, I've lost you.
I've got you here. Yeah, look, just looking at the children's nook, I just I find it really weird.
You're not a fan?
Not a fan. No, I'm not a fan. And I know that a lot of people are probably watching this going, wow, we could lock the kids away. Fantastic. This is where the Xbox room is. And there's a TV recess. I can see all of that. But it is really niche. So there's a bit of a risk to it. So if I look at this, it just looks a bit nichey to me. Like, you come in and the children have most of this whole space, and I like the idea that they can be locked away, and they probably like the idea they can be locked away too. But how does this split level work with the master bedroom?
Steps down.
Okay, so you walk into your little area and then you step down into the master room.
Yeah, so the master bedroom will have 11, 12-foot ceilings as well.
Yeah, okay. And then you've got the home theatre. And then over here, we've got the, so this is definitely more typical. Like when I look at the Sonata and I look at that, you know, the 4-bedroom with the media, this is definitely more typical of what we're seeing the 760s sell for, but they have got another 200 square meters of land to them as well. So from a you know, a point of view of, can I get some more value and have more wow? I definitely think that the San Marino would be worth that 15,000. Like, you know, the stackers doors will cost 5 to 8 grand kind of thing. So I see the value of that. You can't be built out. I definitely see the value of having that space as a wow area. My only concerns would be the weird kind of kids area stuff. Like, I don't know if they've got other designs that could allow you to have the back half with a little bit more traditional front half. But I think that people are either going to love it or they're going to hate it. So it is going to be a little decisive or divisive for people.
Well, it could be up to them to come through the house and go, oh, you know, well, we don't have kids. Let's convert this into whatever.
Yeah. And do you know what? I think we're going to see a little bit more of this. We're going to see a bit more of the, well, if we had to work from home, this is a great work from home space. And if you're going to have like the family relaxing area. Now, one of the things that the census data, and let me just have a quick little look at this, the census data, you know, as compared to the rest of Australia, the kids from 5 to 9 and kids from 10 to 12 and kids from 15 to 19, they're actually, there's a lot of kids and there's a lot of old people. There's just not the same kind of middle bit. So it's, you want to have, if there was a lot of young children, usually what you will see is that the parents want the kids in the living space with them. If there is that kind of teenage group, then having them in their own space, like the teenage retreat, is very attractive. So I think just looking at this from a point of view of how do you compare with the other properties and having a wow factor and compensating with a smaller block, and you've got two designs with the both taking up the same footprint, I would tend towards going to the more expensive design.
Okay.
Understanding the risk involved of, you know, having the quirky little spaces, but I think the wow factor will kind of allow people to go, oh, I can deal with that. And
that's my line of thought as well.
Yeah.
Considering the block is so small, you do need that extra wow factor.
Yeah. If the size of the property's footprints were a bit different and the other one had more space to have a backyard deal, I think we might be having a different conversation. But the fact that they're both the same space, and you know, since the census data in 2016, these developments have come up, and with the potential of people now going, well, I could commute. If you're putting on a $750,000 property in 2 to 3 years' time on the market, and saying to people, well, instead of having to buy a $1.3 million house in Sydney that's run down and needs renovation and the plumbing doesn't work, you could live here and commute once a fortnight or whatever. It makes it attractive with the views and the positioning that this block has. So,
but also the lifestyle factors that you talk a lot about as well. The culture of the Southern Highlands, like there's some amazing schools down there and sporting facilities and clubs and what have you. So very arts culture based. It's
yeah, and look, I've got a number of mortgage clients who they do have their base there, and you know they have looked at the different schools, and we've kind of been through those conversations, and they have they like the area so much that they have like the holiday house at Gerringong, like across the road basically, so on the beach. And I think the thing is that it is it usually is kind of where you would go for a weekend. but it now
Yeah.
potentially allows some people to consider it not being a weekender but being their home. From a position of, if this was going to be an investment property in the future, I think that anyone who was kind of like, yeah, I'm going to be renting in a development, and all the houses are kind of pretty much the same as we just saw, and the block size, they're not really buying on block size, they're buying on livability, and all of a sudden you've got 11-foot ceilings, and you've got, you know, little media retreats, and you've got stack of doors that are opening out into a living space. That makes it a bit different, so it gives it a little edge as well when you're renting it.
Yeah.
And so it may not be that you can get $20, $40, $50 a week extra a week. It might just mean that your property is never vacant when the others in the development are, and the next development comes along and people go, oh, I'm going to go and move into the newer development. They're going to look at this one, go, no, this one's always just going to hold its own. So I would try to understand just the risk associated with being built out. And because you said you're on a bit of a height anyhow, that may, even if they do build across the street or whatever, it may not have an effect, but it's something that I'd consider.
Yeah. Well, the next street isn't for 100 meters?
Yeah.
Or so. And if you look at the actual site fall, it's quite significant.
Yeah.
And our street, Francis Street, is right on top of the hill. So hopefully those sight lines will remain.
And now, and just with the flexibility, you did also ask just about interest rate loans.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts on that?
I mean, just from what I've learned by listening to your podcasts and various other experts, interest only seems to be, the go, especially during construction phase. Reduces risk minimization. You've got that additional cash buffer. You got the surplus funds. And my main consideration, though, is, am I going fixed or variable interest only? I'm worried about if I do sell in, say, 3 or 5 years, with the fixed, am I going, and other questions around being fixed. Obviously, there's an offset. I think that's really, really important.
So traditionally, most home buyers have a principal and interest loan because they're paying it down. They want to own the home. It's a home forever, and that's the strategy. Because you're in two minds about whether this is going to be a home for a period of time and then an investment, or a home and a sale, and it helps you upgrade, then there's a shorter time frame to consider. So, you've been very diligent in saving a 20% deposit, which is fantastic. So you've got that saving capability that, some people don't have, and almost by virtue, principal and interest loan helps them have for savings. But from an investment point of view, normally what you would try to do, especially in this acquisition stage, which is where you are at the moment, is, cash is king. And if you can have the cash working for you, even better. So let's just say that you have a $500,000 loan and you have, a $50,000 in savings, and it's an interest only loan. Then essentially they're going to take the 500 minus the 50 and charge you interest on the $450,000. So you're paying a little bit less every month, which keeps the money in your offset, which kind of compounds it as you're putting your pay in there. So there's all those benefits of having an offset against an investment property or your own home. And at one stage, filling up the offset against the loan. So at any stage, if you really felt you're at risk, you've got $500,000 in cash in 10 years' time and $500,000 loan, and you just pay it down and it's all done. But you've got the cash just in case you need it, in case you lose your job, in case there's a problem, etc. You've got that buffer. So in the acquisition stage, where you'll need to have some cash, be it from the equity growth and the manufactured equity that you've created by all the discounts and grants and things that you've got, from that point of view, that you you need that money for the next purchase. So whilst you're doing that, paying a little bit off the principal is not going to really help you. And if you think of a 30-year loan, it's not to year 20 when the principal component of your monthly repayment is actually more than the interest. So you're actually paying majority interest for the first 20 years anyhow.
Yes.
So, so from that point of view, the interest only, and without knowing your full finances, I can't give you, complete financial advice, but from a point of view of understanding how to minimize risk, then in actual fact, interest only could help you do that. Now, traditionally, construction loans are usually interest only during the construction period for exactly the same reasons that you mentioned, which is, they want to help you, build up a bit of buffer before you have a property, because you should be renting somewhere else whilst you're building your house, right? So there's that component. 5 years interest only is a typical type loan. And I think if you could get the 5-year interest only, fantastic. Now, so let's go to variable versus fixed. So what can happen when you enter into a fixed contract with your loan is that essentially the bank is going to put all of the fixed loans together and sell them to someone at an interest rate. And if you then break that contract with the person who's purchased your loan, essentially, then they're going to say, well, I bought this at I was earning 3% on this, and now the interest rates are so low, I'd only be earning 2%. You have to pay me the difference. So that fixed break fee is based on the interest rate of the day, the interest rate that you locked it in at, and the time frame that you are through your fixed period. So there can be some risk. So if you think you're going to sell in 3 years, you wouldn't get a 5-year fixed. If you think you're going to sell in 3 years, then a 2-year fixed could be something that you consider. If you have a fixed loan, you can't have an offset. So you can actually have a little bit of both. So let's just say you say, there's no way that I'm going to have any cash left over at the end of this. So I start from zero and I can save $20,000 a year. So over the next 2 years, I can save about 40 grand. So you might give it a little bit extra and say, I'll have 50,000 that's variable so that you can have the offset against that. And I'll have the rest of it that is fixed so that you've got the sleep at night. I'm only have to pay 2.9%. Yeah. So,
yes,
so you can have a little bit of a mix of it. Now, the only lender that actually allows you to have a offset against a fixed is Adelaide Bank. And what you could do there is just say you had a $500,000 loan. You might have 250 fixed, 250 variable. And at the time the loan is written, you have to set up the offset against each of them. And you just move the money to the offset that has the interest rate that's the highest at the time associated with the loan. You can move. So you can be strategic and, but Adelaide
so you're suggesting
other things.
Sorry to interrupt. You're suggesting a 50-50 or an 80-20?
It just depends on how much you think. How much do you think you could save in the? So let's just say you've got. So you start with. Let's just say you've got $30,000 in savings now that will be left over after you finish building. Yeah, and then you say that you can save $30,000 a year, and you're thinking about a 2-year fixed. Then 30 in the savings. 30 this year, 30 next year, that would let me think that, well, that's like 90. So how about I make 100,000 variable and the rest would be fixed. And I think what you'll see going forward, it's July 2020 now, going forward into, the next few months, you'll see lenders are starting to hurt a bit with the lack of loans. So you're probably going to see some really competitive fixed rates, that 2 to 3 year fixed, that are going to come onto the market with 2s in front of them, which is going to be really competitive. So I think there's some real benefits there. Fixing, if you think you're going to have like a huge windfall in the future and you're not going to have anywhere to put your money into, like the offset account, if you think you're going to have like $100,000 windfall, then you might keep your variable component, put it up by an extra $100,000. So fixing doesn't suit everyone, but if you're committing to this property for 2 to 3 years, then fixing for the 2 to 3 years could work for you.
Okay.
But just, you don't have to have fixed or variable. You can have a little bit of both, and you don't have to have 50-50. You can make it suit what your needs are.
Sure.
Excellent. So do you have any other questions you're going to throw at me?
No, I think we've covered all bases. That was really enlightening. Thank you so much for that, Jane.
Well, you let me learn something too. Haven't ever looked at new build plans, so it's interesting to look at it and apply some of the concepts of the demographics and what that means and what people are after as well.
Yeah, I might have to get your help renovating the children's nook, by the way.
Well, send me pictures. We'll have a look. Okay, well, all the best, Adam. I'm so glad that I could help you, and my brain helped out.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Jane.